Social life often begins without full knowledge, yet people must act before deeper facts become available. This pressure makes every encounter risky because treatment, trust, distance, and authority are decided almost immediately. People therefore rely on signs that suggest who someone is, what role is underway, and what response fits. While speech matters, posture, timing, tone, and small gestures often carry just as much decisive weight. Because hidden motives and facts cannot be inspected on the spot, interaction runs on inference. This means a person is judged partly by what is deliberately said and partly by what slips through conduct. Once others start responding, their reactions also help lock the situation into a workable temporary shape. Embarrassment, conflict, or smooth coordination then depend on whether everyone can keep that shape believable. In the next sections, you will see how fronts, teams, regions, secrets, tact, and breakdowns organize ordinary encounters. Erving Goffman's The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life rewards close attention. Subscribe to the channel for sharper social insight. The opening moments of contact matter because people commit themselves before the full situation can be tested. After that commitment, later facts are usually forced to fit the line already taken. A waitress who quickly controls the service relation shapes expectations before the customer can define the exchange. Teachers and ward attendants face the same challenge when they try to prevent others from taking command early. First impressions, therefore, do not merely colour interaction. They establish the terms on which response proceeds. Once a person has been accepted as competent, subordinate, intimate, or distant, every later move is filtered accordingly. Changing that line midstream is possible, but it is harder than setting it at the start. The danger is not only error, but collapse, because a broken definition leaves everyone briefly unsure how to proceed. Ordinary confidence often appears natural only because someone has already seized initiative and made the next step seem obvious. Notice these beginnings closely, then subscribe to the channel for more insights on how interaction gets organised. A role becomes clear through a front that provides enough cues for observers to quickly place the person. This front includes setting, body language, clothing, bearing, and voice. A doctor, clerk, host, or official enters with scenery and personal signs that frame the encounter before deeper discussion. Appearance reveals status and occasion, while manner suggests the kind of treatment the performer expects. When these elements fit together, the role feels coherent, and the audience relaxes into recognition. When they clash, uncertainty enters, and observers search for an explanation to restore order. Because fronts are standardized, many people can borrow, hire, or learn to wear them competently. This makes social life efficient, but also makes polished surfaces available to very different underlying realities. Judgment therefore depends less on a single clue than on the convincing coordination of multiple expressive elements. Reading interaction well means asking how setting, appearance, and manner quietly combine to define the scene. A performance can be sincerely believed, but it can also be staged by someone who sees straight through it. That difference matters, yet both versions may still persuade an audience for a long time. Routine helps here because people usually do not invent every gesture anew. They draw from learned repertoires. A person can therefore sound spontaneous while relying on patterns already trained into posture, timing, and response. This is why ordinary behaviour mixes conviction with craft far more often than people like to admit. Some roles demand idealization, pushing performers to present cleaner, higher, or nobler versions of social reality. Others allow selective concealment, where awkward facts are kept from view so the line remains intact. The result is not simple falseness, but a managed relation between reality, claim, and available evidence. That fragile relation can survive minor gaps, yet it becomes dangerous when audiences gain proof that the surface misleads. Seeing performance clearly means holding sincerity and contrivance together instead of choosing one comfortable extreme. No one can sustain many important impressions alone, as convincing routines usually require coordinated support from others. That support transforms separate individuals into a team, working together to define the situation. While members may play unequal parts, each depends on the others to maintain the shared line. Secrets, private judgments, and backstage familiarity thus become common property within the performing group. This interdependence builds solidarity, but also creates vulnerability, as one careless member can injure the entire team. Teams manage this risk by training members, selecting reliable partners, and discouraging sympathy that might shift toward audiences. The goal is not perfect honesty within the group, but dependable cooperation when the show is underway. Even jokes, signals, and minor corrections reveal that the unit being protected is often collective, not individual. Whenever several people help one another, appear consistent, a team is quietly holding the encounter together. Subscribe to the channel for more ways to notice the quiet teamwork holding ordinary encounters together. Social order relies heavily on regions, as polished conduct needs protected places to flourish. Front regions showcase the accepted line, while backstage areas serve for preparation, repair, storage, and expressive release. In front, performers maintain decorum and present an organized picture suitable for the intended audience. In back, they drop the line, adjust costumes, exchange candid remarks, and repair mistakes out of sight. This split does not reveal some pure inner truth, but it does highlight the labor that appearances require. Backstage also allows for differences in treatment that would embarrass the audience if openly displayed. Outsiders complicate matters, as every establishment sits inside a wider world that may unexpectedly become an audience. When the wrong person enters the wrong region, the trouble is often more dramaturgical than moral. The problem is that incompatible versions of the same setting suddenly collide before they can be managed. Watching who is admitted often reveals more about power and trust than any formal statement. The simple map of performer, audience, and outsider rarely holds, as many people occupy privileged in-between positions. Some inform, while others spy, and still others validate the show, with some shuttling messages between separated sides. A shill appears to be part of the audience, but secretly helps the performers guide belief. A spotter or shopper watches from a seemingly ordinary place, but reports what the team hope to keep contained. Go-betweens thrive on divided loyalties, carrying secrets and impressions across boundaries that others must keep apart. Non-people, such as servants in formal settings, may be present without being fully treated as socially present. Service specialists enter even more deeply, learning backstage facts while helping to repair settings, bodies, and verbal lines. These roles matter because they break the neat correlation between function, information, and access. Once that neatness breaks, every performance faces new hazards of leakage, surveillance, mediation, and quiet manipulation. Social scenes become easier to read when these hidden vantage points are treated as structural positions, not anomalies. People do not always remain fully in character, yet they often deviate from the official line only gradually. Backstage ridicule of an audience can coexist with polished courtesy until the moment the audience reappears. Performers use staging talk, signals, and side cues to guide the show without revealing coordination. Some share collusive amusement with teammates by exaggerating a role just enough for it to be understood internally. Others briefly realign during crisis, flirtation, mockery, or embarrassment, then slip back into the earlier arrangement. These departures matter because they prove the performance never fully exhausts the social reality of the participants. A team can sustain one official version while quietly acknowledging other versions to selected listeners. This does not make the hidden current more authentic than the official one. It is simply addressed differently. What matters is the constant management required to prevent incompatible communications from colliding in public. Interaction appears smooth, partly because these undercurrents remain controlled, partial, and strategically distributed. Successful impression management demands more than talent, as every performance faces disruptions from mistakes, exposure, and poor timing. Loyalty ensures members do not betray the line. Discipline helps them maintain composure, and circumspection safeguards against avoidable risks. A disciplined performer remembers their lines, conceals untimely emotions, and supports teammates without showing strain. Circumspection adds prudence by selecting appropriate audiences, arranging access, rehearsing contingencies, and grounding delicate moves in accepted protocol. Distance can also be beneficial, as limited contact preserves awe and restricts the evidence audiences can gather. Mystification does not rely on magic, but on controlling what is seen, when it is seen, and from where. Performers do not save shows alone, as audiences often practice tact when slips threaten public disorder. They ignore small failures, accept repairs, and sometimes actively collaborate to rescue a scene from open embarrassment. Social stability thus depends on a partnership between expressive control and merciful reception. Much of everyday order persists because people prefer saving a scene to proving a point. Ordinary encounters appear casual, yet they depend on sustained effort to keep competing realities from openly clashing. People infer character from outward appearances, commit early to definitions, and rely on teams to maintain coherence under pressure. Behind the scenes, labour, hidden roles, restricted access, and controlled departures all help protect what audiences are meant to accept. When disruptions occur, repair depends on discipline among performers and tact among those observing them. This does not mean life is fake, but it does mean social order is actively staged. What changes after understanding this is not simple distrust, but sharper attention to how situations are jointly produced. A useful starting point is to observe a familiar setting and ask what must stay hidden there. Then notice who handles signals, who gets access, who smooths slips, and who benefits from the arrangement. Over time, ordinary meetings start to look less natural and more like fragile achievements of collective control. Subscribe to the channel if these ideas help you read conflict, courtesy, and status with sharper everyday attention.